We have yet again more big stories to get through involving new signings, sales, and some very interesting players we are showing great interest in. So my friends, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. You know how the intro goes already. I'm not going to waste any more time and let's get straight into things. Let's start things off by discussing the latest news surrounding kits for next season, as we are learning that BingX, the crypto company, are set to become our new training sponsor for next season. I guess that isn't surprising, and we're getting some early looks behind what next season's training gear is set to look like, and to be honest with you, I'm kind of liking these designs. And it follows on to our home kit now, as we are now getting closer to a July launch, and we are getting our first official looks at how the home kit looks like on someone courtesy of JD Football. And in my opinion, for myself, I think this design absolutely slaps. Now, I see it like this: bold prints, graphic designs, they won't be for everyone. I can accept that. I can understand that. It's not everyone's taste. A lot of you may prefer just a more classic type of blue color without all the gimmicks on top. I get that. For myself, I find this design quite fun, quite bold. I've personally been liking like the playful nature in which we're like, you know, using different colors for the club badge. I think it's nice, and I'm liking this orangey type of bronze look. And I do think when we see the players wearing it from a distance, I think this kit will make even more sense. I feel like with a lot of our recent kits, once you see it in person outside of last season's incredible kit, it does grow on you over time. So I've fallen for this trap so many times. It's like I'm telling myself, you know what, I'm going to trust the designers at Nike. They know what they're doing. And to be honest, I like the wave pattern. I like the color scheme. I like the look. And I think it's one of the most unique kits I've seen in a while. And for myself, I'm here for it. But my friends, we're also getting better looks at our away kit and the third kit. And personally, I think the home kit, away kit, and third kit, these are all classics, and I cannot wait to buy them. But my friends, I'm going to ask you guys this: rank next season's kits from best to worst. I'm curious to see what you guys are preferring and what you guys like. So that's the first story out the way. And for the second story, we announced the official signing of Barcelona's Marc Guiu. Now, he signs a 5-year plus 1-year deal, and as the player himself says, it's an immense joy to sign for Chelsea, and I struggled to sleep ahead of the journey here because I was so excited. Ever since I was small, it was my dream to play in the Premier League. Now I have the opportunity to come here to Chelsea, and I will work my hardest to be successful for the club. I think that's the most important to start with, is that I adapt to my surroundings, which I'm sure will be easy. And then of course, I want to win the Champions League and the Premier League for Chelsea. On a personal level, I want to help the team as much as I can by scoring a lot of goals, and I want to be one of the best centre forwards in the world. Guiu said, my main reason for wanting to sign for Chelsea was the football and sporting project the club is offering me here, and the trust everyone who works at the club is putting in me. The club has a very interesting plan with a lot of young and exciting players, and I think we can do great things. I think it's a very talented squad full of top players who are very young, have a lot of quality, and have a lot to offer. This fabled project we keep hearing of is attracting talents, it's attracting players. There's currently this like football de club thing going on. There's a big South American Latin influence at the moment. So I'd imagine that Guiu is going to really just acclimatize here quite easily with all the Spanish speaking players in the team. So I'm not worried about that. I think the guy is a very interesting player we've signed. He could be one for the future for sure. But I'll be really curious to see, do we still commit to signing another striker this window? Or do we commit to signing another attacking player to add towards more goals for the team? Because Guiu has come here believing that he will have real opportunities here. He has spoken to Enzo Maresca. He's got the co-sign from the manager. And I don't think he would have left Barcelona that easy, just like that, when there were some opportunities there for him, because he has been at Barcelona ever since he was a kid. I hope he has a productive season. Personally, I think a target of at least like 5 goals minimum, maybe cementing himself in the cup games, getting a lot of minutes off the bench and performing in the Conference League. I think these are realistic goals for his first year at our football club. Let's see how he goes, but I can't lie. I said it on Twitter, but I feel like I've not seen so many press shots and media shots of a player in a very long time. I think the photographer was going gooey for Guiu. And yeah, I think it's absolutely nuts, the hype this kid's already getting already. But all I care about is what he does on the field, not how this brother looks. So let's see how things go. I'm open to these like smart investable signings, and I think with Guiu, his profile, and what he could become if he works on those details in this game, I suggest you guys watch my analysis video on him to learn exactly what I'm discussing. But how do you guys feel about this? Let us know below. We have 2 more big stories to discuss, so don't be thinking about turning this video off right now, because right now I want to discuss these interesting reports coming out from Paraguay involving, and just like bear with me, brace yourselves, another Brighton player we're showing interest in, and it's reportedly Paraguayan sensation in Julio Enciso. Now, I thought Enciso's like first debut season in the league should have got a bit more hype, because I just can't forget those bangers he scored against us and Man City. I can't forget his impact, the bravery, and just this type of like mentality that he played with. Like wasn't phased at all. You know, Brighton paid like 10 million to sign him straight from Paraguay, and the fact that he instantly, kind of seamlessly found himself in their first team at 18 years old, I think it sums up the level of talent I personally believe Enciso has. I feel like in my videos, I don't use this term too often, like personally, not like describing stories, but I do get this sense that Enciso might be a bit of a wonder kid, has world-class potential. But before I continue on, let's discuss the reports, because they mentioned that we feel great interest in potentially making a move for Enciso at Brighton. They report that Brighton have slapped a £50 million valuation on the player, and I guess if you're Brighton, you're kind of accepting where you are on the food chain with us right now. I mean, we've taken their managers, we've taken their staff, we've taken their best players, and we're taking their signings. So I'm not surprised they're expecting us to have some type of involvement with them this summer, as we've shown throughout every single summer since Bodie's taken over the football club. I think with Enciso this time, this is a pretty interesting story, because we know that we are now turning our attention to looking at a player that can cut inside from the left wing, and I think we'll stick with Palmer and Madueke. Now, Mudryk, Sterling, they could probably do with some competition. In Sterling's case, this guy can play all across the 4 positions. I'm sure he's going to be fine, but I think Mudryk, you know, this is a big season for him now. He has to make things work, but irrespective of that, we are still in the market to sign another attacking player. And does it surprise me that Enciso would be a player the club would turn towards, considering the fact that, you know, your Sam Jules, your Winstonleys, they did big things to sign him from Paraguay just a few years back. They'll know everything about his game, his potential, and the belief they had in him when they made that initial purchase. Would it surprise me that they sense an opportunity here, knowing that Brighton have recently spent a lot of money on signing young, talented attacking players? They've recently signed Minter from Newcastle. They've signed the Ghanaian winger from Northland as well. I forgot what his name is. They seem pretty stacked in that area. Who knows? Let's see what happens. The report mentions that we're showing great interest, not that we are set to sign him, and you'll expect there'll be a few more players that's been announced for the left wing. But speaking on Enciso now, I think this guy's having a very exciting Copa America at the moment. I thought he was superb against Colombia. He's one of the most live wire, entertaining players at the moment. Last season was difficult for him. He started the Prem how he ended the previous season prior, by getting 2 assists in the same game against Wolves, but then after that he got injured and he never came back into Brighton's team until near the end of Feb. And of course, after being out for so many months, it took him such a long time just to finally get like consistent minutes in the team, because he's slowly getting integrated back into things. But I can safely say in the Copa America, this guy looks like he's back to his best, because he's making so many things happen playing in this like free role for Paraguay. And when you just look at the aspects in this game, not only his mentality, his bravery, he's one of those players that shows for the ball in any single area on the field. I've always liked players like that. He can play a passing behind, he can link the play, he's got very quick close control, low center of gravity. He can back into his man. He's a strong player on the ball, and this guy has phenomenal shooting. I think the power he generates with barely any backlift is such a weapon to have, and I have to say, I've always really rated this kid's talent. I think this kid has big potential. He's in that same mold of players like your Kudises, as I said, you know, the Mavericks, the game changers, guys that can play in any position and still play to that same quality, irrespective of the role that they have to play. Yes, he's still a bit raw, he's still a bit young, but you think to yourself, is there an opportunity here potentially to get in early on a player that Guardiola's Man City did think to buy before they invested signing on Doku? Time will tell, but right now I'm going to ask you guys your opinions on this. Is this an interesting story to you, or do you feel like, Nini, please, I can't do anything with Brighton anymore? You know what? Let us know below. And now for the final two stories, of course, we must discuss these latest updates surrounding Riccardo Calafiori. As confirmed by Fabrizio Romano, we are still on the market to sign a left-footed defender. As we know, we're looking for that profile that can play a left-back / centre-back role, that has that ability to step up into midfield, who can invert, who can carry out from the back. That is the new football meta at the moment. As I keep saying all the time now, players like Calafiori and, you know, Garvadios and all these guys, they're essentially just deeper midfield players. That's how I see it, in my opinion. But regardless, as we know, Maresca is a massive fan, and out of all the linked players that we've seen throughout this window, the only concrete name attached to Enzo Maresca is Calafiori, and I can completely see why he wants him. And I think now that we are set to sign Dewsbury Hall, I think the plan will be now to allow Reece James to push further forwards, thus allowing a Cole Palmer to move from a wide position into a more central one, as we saw near the end of last season with Madueke himself. But I think to allow Reece James or Augusto to have that license to roam forward, it now means that that inverted role must come from a left-sided centre-back. And I think if we're in the market to sign one, Calafiori might be the most balanced one, because he's tall, he's very good on the ball, he's very creative, he's strong, but most importantly, you might be surprised by it, but I think he takes instructions incredibly well, because every time we've seen his runs for Bologna under Motta or for the Italian national team, we might think to ourselves, he's just deciding in that moment, you know what, I'm going to start playing football, I'm going to make things happen. But actually, these are all instructions from his manager. These are instructions from the coach. These are things that have been worked upon. He can just execute all of this to a ridiculous level. And I think if you're Maresca, if you're an Italian manager, you love players that listen, who are incredibly strong tactically. And I do think that he has the profile where he could be pretty successful in the Premier League. Considering that players like Murillo, Nottingham Forest went around like 60, 70 million for him. I think a Calafiori who's going to come under, way under that valuation, allegedly set between 40 to 50 million euros. I think that's more realistic in our budget, knowing the fact that at the moment, it seems based on latest reports, Juventus are out the race because they've given up, they're finding no openings, their plans to offer players in exchange aren't working, and they don't have the money to spend 40 to 50 million on Calafiori. We're learning that Real Madrid aren't showing interest, they don't need him. So in the meantime, it seems like his potential future could be in the Premier League if Calafiori decides, I want to go. Because Bologna, they're feeling a bit confident that they may be able to keep the player for one more season by enticing him with Champions League football and by giving him a new contract, taking his current wage packet to around 2 million euros a year, which makes him one of the highest paid players at the club. It's an enticing offer. Calafiori might be thinking in the long term that, you know what, it's best for me to continue my development. Who knows? But in the meantime, there is an opening here to make something happen if we're aggressive, if we're forceful, and if we're assertive. And hopefully Maresca can sweet talk him in Italian and entice him to sign for us, because I think tactically, Calafiori would have his best position and role here, playing under an Enzo Maresca. So, my friends, share your thoughts on that story. And for the final stories, we discussed the latest sale news, because today it was officially confirmed finally that Lewis Saw has completed his move to Newcastle. We are set to receive a fixed fee of 28 million plus an additional 7 million in add-ons. That's a pretty big move, knowing that Martin's gone for 37.5 million, and knowing that we could get an additional 35 million for a Lewis Hall. Now, from a business point of view, I think this is good, but from a footballing point of view, a completely different thing. I personally think time will tell whether this was great business or not, because I see it like this: when you're a club like us, we're one of the few lucky clubs that actually is able to challenge for top honours and top silverware. When you think about it like that, 90% of clubs in the country don't have that opportunity. We do. So ultimately, what we do must cater towards finding success on the field. A club like us is lucky enough to secure top talents and top players compared to 90% of teams in this country. That's a responsibility that we can't forget or ignore. So finding joy in business moves, profit from sales, but not Brighton, but not Tottenham, that isn't something that we look forward to every single season. We can't forget that. Ultimately, it's about how we divest the profits we earn back into the team, and in the meantime, let's wait to see how this window ends. Could we be surprised by some special buys? Time will tell, but in the meantime, it's not the most exciting window, and the money we're earning isn't necessarily addressing concerns in the team that upgrades us and makes us stronger and puts us in a better position to challenge for the Premier League and easily secure Champions League football. So time will tell whether selling Hall and Murchison for big money so young was the best football decision in the future, when we still kept your Bens and Cucureas. Let's see how that goes. But anyway, good luck to Lewis Hall. I think we're going to be seeing a lot more of him in the next few seasons to come. And my friends, on that note, that is all the latest news today. I mean, you know what? I can't forget, quick story, of course, Mari Hutchinson's gone, but it seems like we're set to earn 18 million plus 4 million in add-ons plus a sell-on clause. So cynically, I think to myself, we've signed Omari Kellyman for more money up front than what we're receiving for Mari Hutchinson, who literally put Ipswich in that promotion position. But listen, I don't want to extend this video anymore. You can probably imagine what I'm about to say. So my friends, I'm going to wrap things up and keep things moving. Thank you for watching and see you all tomorrow. Cool.